Welcome, listeners, to this Speaking from Our Hearts podcast episode, where I'm joined today by a lady called Nasrin Barbic, all the way from Virginia in the United States of America. So, very warm welcome to you, Nasrin.
Thank you, Paul. I'm glad to be here.
And I believe today you're going to be talking to us about the pathway to lasting joy.
Right. I would like to share my pathway to lasting joy, and I hope that would inspire others to find their inner joy.
Okay, it's over to you then, Nasrin. Tell us more.
All right. My journey started May 2013. I woke up one morning in a seemingly perfect life, feeling unhappy and miserable. I was married for 10 years by then, had two wonderful boys, had a career as a software engineering for 13 years, and lived in a nice house, and honestly had no financial worries. But yet, I knew I was living a lie. Deep inside, I did not have any joy. I was not happy in my marriage, and I was not happy at my job. And I knew for a while that I wasn't connecting to my husband. I wasn't even really connected to my two wonderful boys. So I knew there's something is wrong. And although I felt like I have been doing everything that I was supposed to be doing, had a great career, good marriage, well, from outside, but then nothing was deeply satisfying and bringing me joy. And making a long story short, a year after that, I found myself in the middle of divorce and looking for another job. I was just so unhappy and miserable. And this was my second marriage. And it was very hard because I had two young kids. And I knew that I need to take my time to figure this out. So we officially separated, although we lived in the same house because it was big enough that we could have our own room, and we had two young kids. We wanted to stay at home. And we were separated, living in the same house for a couple of years and going through the separation and divorce. And then my pain took me to yoga. I knew I needed some relief, and yoga was a great way for me to release my stress and anxiety, which it did. And I fell in love with yoga. And I fell in love with it, and I wanted to learn more. So I decided to go to the teacher training, 200 hours teacher training, just to learn, go deeper. And doing so, I discovered meditation, which was another way for me to become aligned with what I really wanted. And all those chatter in my head that started from the moment I woke up in the morning, and all the blames and looking outside. And you know, Paul, that's what we usually do. When we're unhappy, we look for outside to find happiness, for the person who can make us happy, or a job that can make us happy, or even a friend. And that's what I was doing for the longest time. And that's why I was miserable, because happiness is an inside job, and I was looking outside for it.
Yeah.
So meditation was a great outlet for me to get to know myself. What is it that I want? But I knew I was becoming more self-aware, but I needed more help. So a friend of mine suggested that I should try hire a life coach. And having said that, I was seeing a therapist for a year, but not really getting the release from anxiety that I needed. So I knew I needed to try something new. And working with life coach truly was the beginning of seeing things very clear. I realized that I had a pattern in my life. As I mentioned, this was my second marriage. And one day when my husband said something that I really thought, he must have talked to my ex. He said, you tell me that I don't love you, but you have built these walls. You don't even let me get close to you. And something dawned on me. I'm like, okay, look at this. I mean, I've been to 3 relationships, 2 marriages, all end up in the same place. I felt unhappy, unloved, and wanted to leave. And the only common denominator was me. So what is going on? So I was determined to figure this out. And that was my engineering side. I'm like, okay, I need to put this puzzle back together, figuring out what is going on here. So I asked my husband if we can put everything on hold, the separation and all that, which he agreed. And I started my journey, and I went deeper and deeper. And then I hired a hypnotherapist, and I did some inner child work and healing. And that's when everything became very clear, that based on conditioning of my mind, which nobody's fault. I grew up in a big family. I had 9 other siblings. Therefore, I felt invisible, unloved, and in a way not worthy of attention. And that was where I grew up, the situation at home. And I had a lot of anger towards my dad, because my dad, although he was, now I know, a fantastic dad, you know, he was a businessman, only one supporting the family of 10. But he was not emotional. He never hugged us. He never said, I love you. But so I had a lot of anger towards him too, unknowingly. I knew always that I missed him, but when I saw him, after 10 minutes, I had this anger coming out. So I resolved all those through hypnotherapy and realization that, you know, my dad's childhood was not that great either. The way he loved us, only way he knew how to love me was to provide, send me to good school, and make sure I have a good life. And that was his way. And then little by little, you know, going deeper and deeper, and realizing, okay, you know, I need to love me. I got this message that I'm not lovable, and then I was sabotaging myself to prove to myself unconsciously, and keep getting myself to the same place over and over and over again. So, and I did after that a little bit of energy healing to just release the residue of, you know, all those years of holding on to anger, you know, and all that. And to be honest, Paul, I got to the point that it wasn't about a matter of forgiving my dad or my husband or anybody. It became to the point that I understood we all have our own journey. We all have go through stuff. And our childhood, we all carry a emotional baggage. And most of us unknowingly take it to our relationship, to our jobs, and we create the same pattern in our life. And until we realize that and heal that child within that is always within us, we're going to continue that pattern. So for me, when I realized I created my own life based on what I believed about myself, based on my conditioning.
Yeah.
Although it was sad that I did it to myself at first, but then my second thought was, oh, wow, it was very empowering. If I did that unknowingly, what could I create knowingly? Mm-hmm. And that's when the fun began. And I changed my relationship with my husband. We're still happily together. We got back together, and it was a lot of work. I have to say, all this took me 3 years. And I found joy at my job. And although eventually my passion took me to, you know, going back to school, becoming a life coach. And at the beginning, because I had a great career as a software engineer, it was all just, I wanted to get deeper in. So I became a life coach, I became a hypnotherapist, and I became an energy healer, Reiki Master. And then little by little, people came to me and wanted to know, how did I change my life? How did I transform? Because it was just very obvious. I just had a lot of joy, happiness, and people could see that. And I started sharing it with them, and they wanted me to help them. And I started doing that part-time, and eventually my passion took me to a place that I knew that I want to help people to find that joy within. And I quit my full-time job, and I started doing what I love to do now, which is helping others find the joy within, full time. And I wanted to, the reason that I wanted to do it all, because I went to 3-4 people, and, you know, my engineering mind said, it took me 3 years. What's the shortest way? So what I learned from all this great, coaching, hypnotherapy, energy healing, I put it together to create a rapid transformation program.
Wow, where do I start with that? Where do I start? I mean, blimey, yeah. I think a good starting point, Nasrin, is to focus on the power of beliefs.
Right.
As you say, and I can relate to a lot of what you've said there on a personal level, because from an early age, we're given these beliefs, whatever the motive is. Well, that's a different story altogether. But we're given these beliefs, aren't we? And interesting what you say about your father being the provider, but not the caring nurturer. I mean, there was certainly a generation that I was aware of, that I was brought up in, where it was unheard of and it was unthinkable. And I'm talking about the UK, where a man would show his feelings.
Right.
Generally speaking, or even if it was in a paternal way. Didn't do it. He went to work, he provided, and he kept out of family affairs.
Right.
The matriarch, the mother, that was a different story. She ran the family.
Right. And she was one, and she had 10 kids. So in my case, she had no way of giving what any child needs, attention of one-on-one.
Yeah. So when you look at that situation, as you said, having 10 kids in your context, I mean, I don't know, it's an interesting one. I'm going to dig down on that, if I may, Nasrin, because my understanding, and this is a generalization now, not specific to your situation, but I want to go into your specific situation. I think there's great insights here. But as a generalization, my understanding is that a matriarch, a mother's love, call it what you will, we're not going to get down on labels, knows no bounds. So whether she's got one child or 50 kids, that love is just, it's there. Am I being too philosophical and too naive with that?
No, the love is there, but the reality is, I have 2 kids now, and I see the difference that how I am showing up, because I'm conscious of that and the quality of time that I can spend with and connecting one-on-one. My mom was so busy running around, and she was like, basically all the time pregnant, right? She's pregnant, she has young kids, she has few others, and we all like 2 years apart, and no way she could have give us that one-on-one quality time. And then how many hugs could she give to so many kids a day, right? Or attention, right? So definitely, I know now, like the sacrifices she made, the love she had for us. But the reality was, one adult could not give the nurturing that a child needs when she has so many of them. And she still needs to cook. She still needs to do laundry, right?
And there's a definite reason I asked that question, to get that answer out of you, Nasrin, because the message there, I suppose, for the listeners is, and we carry this legacy of, was it Robbins that said there's 2 things that we have as human beings, 2 inherent fears. One, we'll never be good enough. 2, we'll never be loved. And I just use the latter in the case of asking you that question to, for listeners to maybe understand that at times when they feel they weren't loved, actually they were.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was the journey that I took through hypnotherapy, and then realization. And I came out of that experience with so much love and respect for my parents, because I saw things different. And that is why it's so important to go back and literally change your understanding of the past. Because I would like to give an example. When I was doing the hypnotherapy, I clearly saw myself at, I must have been 5 or 6 years old. I was playing in our backyard, and my dad was doing something in the yard. And I was running around, and I fell down really bad. My knee was bleeding. I looked up, I saw my dad looking at me. I expect him to run to me, hug me, kiss me, say everything is okay, but he did not do that. He, from far, screamed like, okay, you fell down, now get up. And at that moment, I had this feeling that I was not worthy of his time to come to me.
Yeah.
I must not be lovable, otherwise he would run to me. So, but now, when I went back as an adult, knowing what I knew about my dad, I changed that scene in my mind. I gave my inner child that understanding. And through that, everything changed for me.
Yeah.
And I think it is so important that we do that inner child healing. And understand, as logically, I knew as an adult that, okay, my dad, because the way he grew up, that's the only way he knew to love. But he, had so much love in other way. But your inner, that 5-year-old doesn't understand that, right? She thinks she's not lovable. She's not enough. So when we go back and change that understanding and loving that inner child, that's when things really start to change.
Absolutely. And I understand that, because within our makeup, we have, as adults, we still have that child inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And for me, part of the, I've got an ABC approach, Nasrin, and I'd be interested in your views on this, because I believe it holds good water. It certainly worked for me and a lot of people that I've worked with. But in fact, the very first podcast we did was way back in September 2018, and it was called Mastering Life is as Simple as ABC. And I'm just listening to you speak there, particularly focusing in on the beliefs. And for the ABC, so the first part of our healing process is awareness. Where are we at this moment in time? Because we don't know what we don't know.
Absolutely.
So a starting point, and there has to be no judgment on it. There's no good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is, and that is it. And so A is the awareness, B is the beliefs, because as we go through life, I understand that I call them plasters or labels. So as we progress from childhood, it's like you probably collected one from your father there, a plaster that said, or a label, don't be childish. Well, you was a child and you was allowed to be childish. But that kind of, no, just get on with it. No drama, just do it. And that's a label that says, I don't know, whatever it says, be resilient, or, whatever it meant to you at that moment in time. And this is subconsciously, I believe, what we collect over the years. And every time we have an interaction, you imagine how many times we have an insight in a day. I mean, there's thousands of them, through our 5 senses or through our emotions, whatever it is. All these things are going on around us, and it's like either consciously or subconsciously, we're collecting another label.
Right.
And I believe as we progress through life, we've got that many labels on us. We can't breathe. We've lost our identity because we don't know who we are. Because we've got one label that says happy, we've got one that says sad, we've got one that says miserable, there's one that says this, there's one that says that. It's like, hang on, who am I? What am I? I don't know. I'm confused. I'm hurt. I'm in pain. And so the C is the creativity. And the creativity for me, Nasrin, is how do we best take those labels off?
Right.
And that's going to be different for all of us. Now, hearing you speak there, I believe you found your creativity through your hypnotherapy, through your coaching, through your journey. It's a voyage of discovery, isn't it?
Absolutely. And Paul, I would like to say, first come awareness, as you said, but now the way I see things is like knowing that I am not those beliefs. I am not my thoughts, and I don't necessarily need to act accordingly. I became an observer of my thoughts and my feeling. And knowing what I know, I do not believe him. I really observe him and see how he feels. And, I sometimes choose to acknowledge them, but not act on them. Right? So I think part of that is knowing that you've been conditioned, but it doesn't matter. You are not your thoughts. You are not even your feeling, because most of the time, those feelings are based on something that is not even the truth of it.
Absolutely.
The fact that you don't feel enough is not a truth, is a lie that you bought into. The fact that you're not worthy is a lie. You just bought into it. But the moment that you know that the awareness come in, then you can make a different decision. The point being, we all have a choice in life. We can believe those limited beliefs and want to be a victim. And sometimes there is some people who get hooked to that. Or we can choose a more empowering thought. And I know it's a journey, but I think the moment that I see it with my clients now, the moment that light goes on, that they awaken to their inner power. There is no way they can go back to sleep. They might doze off now and then, but they will get up again very fast. And that's my passion, to get people to see their greatness. They see that they bought into so many lies and they became disempowered because of it. But they have this greatness within them. That is all they need to do, go within. And when people say, I need fixing, I'm like, no, nobody needs fixing. You are perfect the way you are. You just don't know it. You forgot. You bought into the lies that you believe you need fixing, or all you have to do is remember who you truly are.
Yeah. When I hear that statement, Nasrin, I need fixing, my reply is, well, what are you, a washing machine?
Right.
It's like, but it is, as you say, it's become a common belief.
Right.
And these you referred to it at the top of the conversation about these externals. I call them silver trinkets, because they're all shining and this and that. Get a new relationship, get a new job, get a new car, get a new house, get this, get that. It's like, no, don't get any of it. Let it all go. Let it go. Right. And look inside.
Right.
And that's all we need, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a vicious circle that we are on, right? And that's why happiness is such an elusive thing. Because look, when I think back myself, I was thinking, okay, I got to get this degree, then I'd be happy. Okay, maybe for a week I was happy. Right away, my goal changed. I have to get that job to be happy. I got the job. No, I have to get married to be happy. Then you get married. No, I have to have that house to be happy. It's an ongoing thing. And that's why we don't feel the joy and happiness within, because all we're seeking is something that is outside of us, and happiness only comes from within.
I had to smile then, Nasrin, when you said about getting the degree. I was on the academic treadmill for nearly 11 years. And ended up with a first degree, a master's degree, and I started my doctorate. And it's interesting, I passed the first year of my doctorate and I thought, what are you doing? Right. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And I realized it's exactly what you said. I was looking out, so, oh, look at me, I've got a big piece of paper, look, stroking my ego.
Right.
But that was masquerading the insecurity and the vulnerability that I had inside that I hadn't dealt with. So I was looking for these things outside, and if I had a girlfriend at the time, I had to have a certain type of girlfriend, somebody that really looked the part. What she was actually like didn't really matter, because she looked great, and that was just stroking the ego. So it was another silver trinket. But an interesting one with the degree that you spoke about. I just kind of woke up one day, Nasrin, and thought, I can't do it anymore. I'm living a lie. What am I doing? And so I went in, and we had a conversation with the dean, one of the professors at the university, at the business school there. And he said, I'll never forget, and it still makes me smile. He said, you've passed, but it's academic tosh. And they were his exact words, which was basically, I suppose he was saying it was rubbish, but I passed. And I said, but it doesn't matter anymore because I'm not staying. And he said, what do you mean you're not staying? You do not walk out on us. We've never had anybody walk out on us. Well, here's your first because I'm off, because it means nothing to me. And that's having spent, Nasrin, over 10 years of over a decade of my life dedicated to learning academia. But it wasn't for the sake of learning, because somebody said to me a couple of years later, well, what have you actually learned, Paul? And it's like, nothing. So I just had a sort of, sorry for kind of going off a bit of a tangent there, but I had a bit of a smile when you spoke about the academic side, because I think that's important. I'm not dismissing academia. I think it's great that particular, people do go to and extend their knowledge. But for me, the big question is, why are you doing that? Why?
Absolutely. Yeah, Paul, I truly understand, because that's exactly what I was doing. I had a bachelor in computer science, master in information technology management, and I was looking to do my PhD, although I was not even enjoying that, anymore. But I think we do that because we want to keep ourselves busy so we don't have a chance to think, to feel our unhappiness and be miserable. And I see that all the time. People say they're type A and they're proud of it, but I think that comes from being very insecure. You don't even give yourself a chance to breathe, to take a moment, to feel, to see who you are. Are you happy? Are you not? You're constantly chasing something, so you don't even give yourself a chance to feel that unhappiness, And that's what I was doing, So, and I think unconsciously we all do it.
Absolutely, we do. And I think what's interesting for me, Nasrin, at the moment, I don't know if you're finding this, but increasingly the number of people I'm talking to generally, and certainly through the podcast. I mean, the great thing about a podcast such as this is you get to talk to people from all over the place with different backgrounds, different texts. I mean, it's absolutely a privilege to be having these kind of conversations, because the growth that goes off for, the guests, myself, the listeners, is immense, because you've got so much rich experience coming into it that you never know actually what your next podcast conversation is going to be about. And, you're stretched all over the place, which is great. But, kind of what I try and do within my approach to things, Nasrin, in my own life and in my work, is I think life is a very, very, very simple game. I think it's a game. I think we need to learn the rules, and the rules are very simple. And I think for me, and I may be oversimplifying it, but when we look at the 3 levels of Dharma, our purpose, seek your higher self, find your unique talent, and then give it away.
Right.
That is simple. Because it's all right for you, Paul, you this and you that and you the other. Well, why is it all right for me? What is different about my situation? What's different about your situation? Yes, you might have 2, 3, 4, 5 kids. You might have a mortgage. You might have this, whatever. We've all got different dynamics. The challenges never go away, but how we angle them changes. And that's the difference, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, goes back to that awareness, right? Being conscious. And I think that's how I felt that I was sleepwalking through my life. And I think a lot of people are still doing that. And they let things happen to them rather than creating their own life. I used to hear that it's all illusion, and I couldn't get it. But I do now understand it. And I had that experience. I remember when I was going through the divorce, and I was talking to my husband, and I had that moment of, oh, wow, either he's crazy or I am crazy, because he's totally seeing things different from the way I see it. He has 100% different reality. But now I know he wasn't crazy, or neither was I. We just all do the same thing. We create our own experiences based on what we believe about ourselves or our universe in general. Do we think we live in a hostile universe or a universe who has our back? Now I believe universe is very friendly and has my back. All I need to do, become clear at who I am, what I want, and then know that I do create my own illusion, my experience of life. And if I'm happy, I need to create a better reality, is knowing that going back again, what is it that I believe? How do I disempower myself? And now from what I learned, when I get to the situation that I feel unease, or I ask myself, what is it within me that is creating this? Because I know is me.
Yeah.
If I would not even be able to see things if I don't believe it. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
if I don't believe that I'm not enough, I would never experience that. If I don't believe that I'm not worthy, I would not experience that. So that is exactly why, like, when you go to a place with, different people, you come out all with different experiences. Same venue, same things are happening. Some people think it was a great event. And that's, again, like, all this made me think. Once, when I was still working as a software engineer, and we had a meeting. I live in Northern Virginia, and I work for George Washington University. We had a campus in Virginia, and the main campus is in DC. And they were busing us to DC for a conference that we had to attend. And I was talking with the older gentleman who worked in another department. And great guy. We went to the same event. He was sitting on a different table. On the way back, he came back. And I had a great experience. I thought it was a great conference, empowering. He had the exact opposite feeling. Why? He was focused on the fact that coffee wasn't hot enough. That person next to me said something. So we had totally same place, same thing were happening, totally different experience. Why? I created a different one than him because of my past experiences, because of my perception of those,
Yeah.
So it's amazing. That's why it's like, when you say it's all illusion, I totally believe that. I get it. We all have our own reality.
We do, and I think so long as we're sharing that illusion, if that's the label people want to use, with a common language, then that's fine, because we're singing from the same sheet. And I just made a note as you were speaking there, Nasrin. You coined a phrase there, and I love it. And my heart lights up every time. The universe has your back. Our friend Gabby Bernstein, I just love her approach to work. But just sort of on the beliefs, I want to challenge you again, if I can. We're led to believe, well, there's two schools of thought, isn't there, about do we see to believe something, which is usually where we go from early stages. We've got to see it first. Is it practical? My feet are on the ground. I need to see that works. Then I'll believe it. And then I think as we go down a more faith-focused path, that actually flips. And we then believe to see. And I suppose some people would call that the law of attraction. For me, they're both based on beliefs, and beliefs are both false. So it doesn't matter to me whether you believe to see or see to believe. I think the understanding that I take from it, Nasrin, is they are beliefs. If it serves me now, as it may do, that's fine. But I give myself the right, my higher self gives myself the right to say, okay, Paul, yesterday you had that belief. You might have had a belief that tomorrow it's going to rain. And look at it, it's 35 degrees. So where did that belief come from, and where's it gone? And these beliefs come and go, don't they? And I think so long as we, I think it's fine to have these beliefs, these stepping stones, but our higher self, I believe, has to have that flexibility to dance with the energy and say, okay, maybe that belief was not quite meant to be.
Right. I guess absolutely examining our belief. Is it powering us, or this time empowering us? And no, it's just a belief. As you said, we can change it. And where is that belief coming from? Is it we truly believe it's true, or we've been conditioned to believe it? But I do believe that we see what we believe. What I do believe we cannot even see things the way they are if our limited belief, basically our belief creates our perception, right?
Yeah.
And if we are in a mindset of disempowering ourselves, we can never see ourselves in the powering place, in a sense.
I agree. Yeah.
You know, and I have this, you said that, share this short story. It happened recently. And I think it goes with the power of belief that you see. I was visiting my friend in Chicago, and my two boys were with me too. My boys were sleeping in a basement, and one was sleeping on the floor, the other one on a couch. It was an L-shaped couch. And early in the morning, and as I do every morning, I woke up to do my meditation. So I was upstairs. I went downstairs because I didn't want to wake anybody else up. And I said, okay, I'm going to sit on the side of the couch. I saw one is sleeping on the floor and the other one on the couch. I'm going to sit here and do my meditation. So I did that. And by that time, sun was shining a little bit. And I said, okay, everybody's still asleep. I had my book. I'm like, I'm going to just sit here and read. As I was doing that, I noticed my older son, who was 14, got up. First, he looked at his brother to see if he was asleep. He literally looked at me and didn't see me, like looked through me, looked at his brother, saw he was asleep. And he went back to sleep. I'm like, okay, he's asleep. He didn't see me. 15 minutes later, he got up, went to see his cell phone to see what time it is. Again, look past me, look at his brother to make sure he's still asleep, because they have a competition. Whoever gets up first gets to play a video game, whatever. And then he again went back to sleep. And I was amazed that the fact that he didn't expect to see me there, he couldn't see me. And later on, when I told him, he could not believe me. I said, you know, you got up, you went and looked at your phone. He's like, no, impossible. How can you be sitting there and I don't see you? I'm like, because you didn't expect me there. You didn't believe me to be there. Therefore, you didn't see me there. Like, honestly, I don't think any other explanation I could give him, you know? Yeah. So in that sense, I think our beliefs are just very, very amazingly strong, you know?
It's almost like there's three levels then, isn't there, Nasrin? There's the kind of level where, as I say, we need to see to believe, that sort of real basic concrete level where, oh, I need to see that pen before I believe that pen is, oh, I can see, yeah, that pen is green. So if I said to you, Nasrin, I've got a green pen in my hand, you can't see it. But would you have the faith to believe that I've got a green pen? But now I show you a green pen. Yeah, right. I see it. Now I believe it. So I think that's our kind of our foundation level. Then if we go up, we flip that on its head, and that belief, yeah, Paul's told me he's got a green. So I don't know, I can't see it, but I believe it. Paul, show me that green pen. Right, okay, my faith has been because he was telling me the truth. But I think there's a level above that as well, Nasrin, which is what I've tried to sort of refer to there, where, okay, I understand the first level, I understand the second level, but both of them, actually, there's a level beyond, because they're temporary. Does that make sense?
Are you talking about you get to the point that there is a knowing rather than, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and that's a beautiful place to be, right? Yeah. Because you don't need any evidence. And somebody once asked me, how do you know this? It was, we were talking about it. I said, I don't know it. I mean, how do you know that? Did somebody tell you? I said, no, it's just a knowing.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't seen, like, in my experience, I have seen evidence because I had that knowing, maybe, I don't know, but it's hard to explain. And that's the great place to be, because you don't question anymore, right? You don't need to see to believe. And there's that knowing within you that is so aligned with who you are, and that it feels so good that you know is true. And I think that's one way of knowing. Do you live your life true to yourself? Is there a joy? That's why, like, I love that, because you cannot fake it, right? Like, the deep joy within, if you're aligned with who you are, it doesn't matter what situation you have in your life, what's going on around you. But if you don't have that alignment, that joy is still there. We go through tough time, but we still connected to that joy, knowing that this shall pass, right?
Yeah.
That faith, that knowing, and that's the good place to be.
It is a good place to be. I want to ask you another question, if I can, Nasrin, about this fascinating, well, through this fascinating conversation. Is it oversimplifying things to say that as choices, as spiritual beings, dare I say, living through human challenges, is it oversimplifying it to say that the choice, the big choice we have more than anything is to choose love over fear? Is that oversimplifying things?
No, I think we make things difficult. Everything is simple, but we have learned to make things more difficult for ourselves. It could be as simple as that. Choose what feels good, bring joy to you, because that's what love is. The higher power, higher energy that I believe is love. That's what connects us together.
Yeah.
That's what makes great things happen, right? And fear is absence of that love. If you feel fear, know that you're not in touch with your love, with your essence, which is love, right? Which we all are. And it doesn't have to be that hard. As you said, it's not simplifying it. I think that's what it is, And knowing that, I think we have all the freedom. We are the one who choose our path in a way we want it. We have that freedom, and we go to our path by making these choices. If we choose to connect to our higher self, to that love, and knowing that at the end, there is one huge consciousness, one, we're all connected. What I do to myself, I do to others. And I've seen this when I healed myself. And that was the fascinating thing, that in my relationship, I was doing all the work, but as I was healing myself, I could see my husband is healing, right? We all have our own emotional package, but my healing, my energy was helping him to become, to be in a better place. And knowing that, how we are connected, the whole universe, we not only as human species, all the species, how we affect each other, how we connected, then we need to be aware of loving ourselves is a huge part of that. Yeah. I'm going to go as far as saying, if I truly don't love myself, I cannot give that anybody unconditional love. If I love myself conditionally, I love myself when I lose the weight, when I get that, I do that to all my relationships. What I know when I took time, and when people say, isn't that selfish? No. Self-love, the more you love yourself, the more you spend time getting to know yourself and cherish yourself, the more love you have to give. And I truly believe people who have a hard time loving themselves have a hard time loving others. You cannot, if you're judging others, it means you're judging yourself. So at the end, it all goes back within, right? Getting to know yourself, loving yourself, accepting yourself as who you are, the way you are, and not judging yourself is the key to not judge others and open your heart to others.
Absolutely. I want to ask you another question, Nasrin, if I may, because what you've just said there is You know, people often say to me, Paul, why did you form Speaking from Our Hearts?
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to you speak there, Nasrin, kind of reinforced. I mean, I know absolutely why I formed it. But the more I listen to people speak, I'm kind of thinking, what she's really saying there is she's speaking from the heart. So I want to ask you that question if I can and say, Nasrin, what does speaking from your heart mean to you? What is that like in your world?
It means to be authentic and be truly who I am and let my passion do the speaking, right? Like we learn, that is the power of sharing stories. We all have our journeys, and I respect everybody's journey to the point that I do talk to people and I feel like they still need to go through that tough time before they're ready to hear. And then, right, not judging, knowing that it's okay where you are. You meant to be there. There is a lesson to be learned. And I think we keep going through these patterns until we learn that lesson. And that's the beauty of life. And it's not that we have so many chances. It's never too late. It's never too late. And it is fantastic where we are. Things happen for a reason, for us to grow. We meet people for a reason. I remember when I had this realization that, wow, 2 years ago, I thought my husband was the cause of our pain, but now I know he helped me to awaken. What I cherish him for that, right? What a perspective, right? Seeing him as a person who caused me pain to the person who literally liberated me. So it's important how we see things. You know, as Dr. I think it was, I forgot who said that, but in a sense that how you choose to see things define you. We can look at things and all the benefits and everything in our life if we look at it and focus on the goodness. And that's when gratitude comes. And I think that was the beginning of changing my relationship with my husband. I had this practice. Every morning I would write 5 things, and I was in the middle of divorce, that I appreciate about him. And I still had the anger, but you know, I start focusing on, okay, he's a great dad, he's a big, but that practice helped me to see all the other things that I did not see. Not only that, in a day I was paying attention what I can write the next day. And then unconsciously, I became, you know, aware of all those things that I missed before. And I would thank him for that. And one day he said, wow, you never appreciated me. And, you know, came my own realization, right? That I truly never appreciated him, but he has so much to offer. And that's how our energy started changing. So going back, being truly who you are, first appreciate who you are. Like get in touch with all your greatness. And that's the practice I encourage everybody to do in the morning. I encourage people to write 3 things, at least 3 to 5 things. First, they love about themselves and appreciate about themselves. Do the same thing for their partners or a person who they wish to have a better relationship with. And 3 to 5 think about the current career, job, whatever they do. And that's another way I started changing my feeling about the job that I had and eventually fall back in love with what I was doing. And that's the power of gratitude.
Wow. Wow. So, Nasrin, pathway to lasting joy. How can people find out more about you? How can they contact you if they want to dig a bit deeper? What contact details can you give us?
If they go to pathwaytolastingjoy.com, all my information is there. And I think that's all they need to do. I think they will read a little bit about my background. I have a free consultation if anybody would like to chat. I would love to chat. And, you know, all I want to say is the answer is within us. It would be great to have someone to guide you, but and you can do it yourself. It will take you a little bit longer, but it's all the answer is within you. We don't need a guru or somebody to tell us how to live our life. If you just go within, highly recommend yoga, meditation. That helps you to get in touch with that. But of course, I still have my own coach because I think it's great to have someone to give you a different perspective here and there, because we tend to have this tunnel vision and we can't see the whole picture. And it definitely helps to, make things happen faster. But again, I want everybody to encourage everybody to do their own practices. I mean, I can't emphasize enough how important it is being meditation and yoga in my life. And more than anything, I will encourage people to start there.
Absolutely, definitely. Nasrin, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you very much indeed for being on the Speaking from Our Hearts podcast show.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Thank you. I truly appreciate this time with you and sharing my story.
Thank you. So there you have it, listeners. The wonderful Nasrin Barbic. And until the next time, what shall we say to the listeners? Well, I mean, what's the one sign off that you want to give, Nasrin, to the listeners? The one word, the one quote, the one saying. So
pay attention to what gives you joy and do more of it. Keep up with the gratitude. Have a practice of gratitude and be well.
Beautiful. And at that point, we sign off. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.